talks about what happened just a few days ago. The Iranian president is dead, confirmed, died. Okay. I think strategically, which again is way over my head, strategically, this is a really, really big deal. Um, the first thing I think of when I hear Iranian president dies is, okay, well, who's next? And is this dude a nutcase? Right? Because it could be, if he's nuttier, if he's crazier, if that person is wants to pull the trigger. I think this is an issue, not just for us, but the entire region, right? So I let's just watch the video.
So it's been confirmed that both the Iranian president and the Iranian foreign minister have died in the helicopter crash yesterday that was supposed to just be a hard landing, but turned out to be a crash. There's an ISR feed that you'll see above me, which was a Turkish drone that was sent out in order to help locate the location of the wreckage of the craft, or at least of the craft itself, when they were in the process of trying to search for it. There's also been geolocated photos sent out around where people have been able to see, hey, this is exactly where they crashed in the mountains of Iran's East Azerbaijan province, due to the thick, milky cloud cover that was in the area, mist time stuff. So it's been confirmed. They've been recovering the bodies, and I'm assuming they're going to be returning to the capital pretty soon. The weird thing about this is that they were flying a helicopter that was manufactured in the 80s, which leads me to believe that they are hard up for cash right now.
All right. So
wow. I love that end part, which leads me to believe they're hard up for cash right now. I don't know, a helicopter from the 80s. So a couple interesting things, though, Clay, I think. One, I'm surprised how fast that information came out, because you would think that they would try to keep that a little quiet. However,
the wreckage of the...
if you're the one who wants to succeed, then you do want to get that word out, because you want to step into that role. Now, the question's going to be, is there going to be any infighting on that? I mean, you have the prime minister and they're both gone. So,
yep.
So there could be some infighting. That's how this stuff works over there, right? is some infighting, and even the neighboring countries are going to have a vested interest in this infighting on who's brokering deals and with who and how. It's concerning, absolutely, because of all the things you said, but also because the Middle East has always been a very unstable, we'll call it, a map, right? Mm-hmm. Anytime there's any sort of an opportunity to increase size of your country, right? So like we saw with Iraq and Kuwait, right? They wanted to take Kuwait and pull it back in. Every entity there would absolutely want more. So it's going to be interesting. And I think that the in focus is going to be interesting to watch and play out any sort of infighting. And if we're able to also ascertain what sort of outside influences, we have a vested interest. Believe me, we care who's in power there. And, it's not far reached to say that we may help get the person that we want to be in position in one way or another. Your thoughts, Clay?
Yeah. I'm probably not going to talk about the America putting a puppet government into Iran. I'll leave that on the table personally. What I do think is
I never said anything hilarious. Like that. You said that.
What I do think is absolutely hilarious is the Turkish drone is the one that found the crash site, not an Iranian drone. If the president of the United States is in a potential helicopter crash, you bet everything in your bank account, your entire life, your children's life, that the U.S. will be the one to find them. Not Turkey, definitely not Russia, right? And it's just, that's something to think about. It's funny that Turkey found the crash site. And then he talks about whenever he talked about geolocating the crash site, I want you to think of like people on Reddit, because that's what we're talking about here. The internet is a crazy tool when it comes to open source research, and you can take take a graphic on an ISR feed that has clearly been released to the public. Okay, you can take a graphic on a map, go to Google Maps, and then with terrain association, all that stuff, people on Reddit, okay, not even high-speed intel collection, people on Reddit are able to say, yep, that's where the location is. Here's, here's this tree, here's that tree, here's that rock that is 30 degrees, this angle. And they found the exact crash site. And it's funny that Iranian or Turkey found the crash site with the ISR feed. And then, your equivalent of people on Reddit found the crash site via Google Maps. And it just goes to show that what he implied, that the helicopter they use is from the 80s. That gives me a weird, as an American, that gives me a really weird feeling of security. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You are flying in a helicopter from the 80s, right? I know that probably sounds really, really bad if you're not American, but sucks to suck is what I got to say.
Right. Yeah. A Magnum PI helicopter. Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like those, this Christmas, I'm going to buy my son. He doesn't watch this, but this Christmas, I'm going to buy my son a DIY go-kart. So we can build the go-kart, build the engine so he can ride it. This reminds me that someone bought like a DIY helicopter for the Iranian president, and it was like, there you go, little buddy, build your helicopter and you can fly it around,
Yeah.
But hey, he's dead. The prime minister's dead. I have no idea what's next, but what I do know, just from my experience in the Middle East, I've been there multiple times, is it's kind of like a firecracker, right? Or like a daisy chain. Once something happens, people go freaking nuts. And so not just in Iran, but I'm curious to know what the second, third order effects are in Iraq and Afghan and Pakistan and the UAE and Yemen and in Saudi, right? I'm sure Saudis are cheering. Food for thought, Saudi Arabia, Iran, they hate each other, okay? Plus, hey, what made the helicopter crash? I don't know. I'll kind of insinuate that. I'm not going to say the U.S. did it. Absolutely not. But
it's a 2-for-1 deal, man. You do it now, you got them both.
Yeah. And you get to get rid of their 80s version helicopter, right? So really,
that's true. Time for a new helicopter. That's right. You not only are you going to step into power, but you also get some new equipment. That's nice. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's. I wonder how. I'm curious. I mean, we got to do some sort of follow up on this because there's going to be some new things happening, and I'm curious who else is going to die along the way.